Welcome to episode 45 of the American Fitbaw Cast. There is only one co-host with moi today, and that is our podcast skipping Andrew Smith.
Hello.
You have been elsewhere this week
on
the interwebs.
Yeah, I made a guest appearance on NFL Scotland this week, so nice of the guys to have me on. It was did the preview of the West divisions, the AFC West and the NFC West with them.
That's quite good because that was the last one we did, so it was still probably fairly fresh in your memory.
Well, we've done the AFC West, obviously we've still got NFC West to come, which will be next week.
You've been well prepped then.
Yeah, I'm sort of prepared for that and was quite fresh for the other one, so yeah, it was decent. So yeah, thank you to them for having me on, and check that out after you've listened to us.
Yeah. So we are continuing our division roundups. This time round we are going NFC North and NFC South.
Yeah.
With the last couple of mini episodes being all on the AFC side, we're jumping over NFC side now. Straight off the bat, first thing I was looking at, was starting in the North. In terms of roster movement, I was kind of scanning through it today, and as far as a division goes, I think there was probably the least amount of big name movement in this division as to other ones we've covered so far. And if anyone was moving any big names, at least it was into their teams rather than away, which is actually quite good. So we'll have a wee scan through a couple of the teams before then, trying to figure out how we're going to place them all this season. So we'll start off with the Bears. So the Bears obviously had an amazing season last year.
They did, obviously. They had that huge pickup through the season last year when they brought Khalil Mack in through the season from the Raiders, which...
What a move.
Yeah.
There's no Bears fan that wouldn't put that trade back, and I think everyone in Oakland is crying since he left. It's just ridiculous how that has happened. Now, Oakland may surprise us. It may turn out a couple of years from now, they could have been slightly better if they had him, but they're not hugely worse off because they're going through the rebuild. However, what a move for the Bears. They were absolutely loving it. Scott, who is part of our fantasy...
fantasy league.
Jesus God, get the word out there.
Wow.
The brain is struggling today. He is a massive Bears fan, and he was so delighted. I think it was week one, was it not? Was it trade not executed back? Was it even last season or 2 seasons ago now?
No, it was last season.
Was it just last season? Right. So it was right at the end of pre-season, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
And all on for week one, and he just sat there with a beaming smile on his face, I think, for weeks going, haha, our team's better than yours.
So, what have they done? Mentioning haha, actually. There you go.
Haha, Clinton Dix, who, which was, tried to autocorrect it to haha, Clinton did. And I was sort of thinking, Clinton did what? One of my phone's trying to tell me something. The secret Google's trying to stitch them up. So they brought in Clinton Dix, who obviously got released from Green Bay midway through last season, went over to the Redskins.
Yeah.
He's then obviously not re-signed up with them.
It was a mid-season trade.
I was going to say it was an
sure it was
or something. And then has come back in NFC North. So you've got that whole funny interdivision transfer that happens way too often for my liking. I genuinely don't think that people trade for these people because they actually think it's a massive upgrade. They're going, awesome, I can pick your brain.
Yeah, inside knowledge.
If
you can pick up someone
so much
in free agency who's recently spent a good amount of time on one of your divisional rivals rosters, why wouldn't you?
Particularly now, after you've got the whole off-season and embedded in the new plan. You're like, and it's going to happen for the next couple of weeks.
Only thing that, in this example, that maybe detracts from that a little bit is the fact that Green Bay have, and we'll get to that, have changed their head coach. So there's going to be so much change there that maybe doesn't have the same impact as it would when they're still working under the same people.
True, and he's a bit of a patch-up job because they obviously lost Adrian Amos, who we'll come on to shortly. So Clinton Dix comes in, Buster Skrine, cornerback, and they picked up Cordell Patterson.
Yep,
which is an interesting one. He's
at the
Patriots.
Is that right? Yeah.
After his Viking stint, which no one I don't think could really knows how to use him. He's kind of it's real straight. He's a very good gadget player. He can pull off some absolute nonsense plays, but he's certainly not consistent enough to be a true wide receiver, which is what people thought when they picked him up in the draft a few years ago. So I think it'll be interesting to see how Nagy's going to deploy him. In terms of who they've lost, On top of Amos, who will come out when we blether about Green Bay. The only ones I could see that I thought was of any note was Jordan Howard.
Yeah.
But I don't even know if that's a massive loss, particularly picking up. Is Devin Singletary they picked up in the draft? I think that's what I want to say. It might. No, David Montgomery, who played in preseason game 1. They gave him something like 6 or 7 carries. They were like, "This boy's good," and have benched him because they don't want anyone else to know how good he is. Which is
and you don't want to risk injury through pre-season as well,
which is a massively positive move as well. So they seem to have got a nice replacement, if not upgrade, on that front as well. I did put Kevin White in question mark. Don't really think it's a loss, but
no, it's not a loss, but it is notable that they have. I mean, this is a guy who was a first-round pick in 4 years
seasons ago,
yeah.
I think now. What was his career totals? And do you remember roughly?
Something.
25 receptions, 258 yards.
And I think there was something like
touchdowns.
No touchdowns, and I think 2 of those receptions were like 45-yard plays as well.
I'm sure. I think the other 23 again for about 100 yards.
Yeah,
absolutely disgusting. 7th overall pick, I think he was. He was that sort of high, 7.
Yeah, something like that. And obviously he ended up on the Arizona Cardinals roster, and as we record overnight last night, he was released by the Cardinals as well. So they've also said,
"See ya." They obviously found nothing of note, and I mean, it's not a dig. Your depth chart, I think your depth chart is sneaky better than what a lot of people give it credit for in the Cardinals.
I think
but he had a fight. I think you had a fight.
Receiver.
You would have thought he would have a fighting chance going into training camp.
Yeah,
and he's clearly shown nothing because he's been in there for 3 weeks now. We're coming up to the 3rd preseason game, so it must be round about.
Yeah, I think longer than that because I think he was there for the bulk of the off-season work as well.
All right, cool. So he's had loads of time anyway to throw out something if it was going to be working.
He's gone, and they brought in Michael Crabtree as a veteran replacement, which seems sensible. But we'll
not against that in the slightest.
Talk about that next week.
Yeah. So that's the Bears. If there's any people I'm missing and you recall them, shout them out at me because I've gone through the transaction list. But I did this last time and I'm sure I missed somebody. I was like, oh my god, what a climb. So move on to the Detroit Lions. So, or what do you call them? It's not the Detroit Lions. It's
the Mini Patriots.
The Mini Patriots. Yes. Well, who was basically their first 2 noticeable off-season signings? It was Trey Flowers.
Yep.
Who was a
Patriot.
Yep. And Danny Amendola, who came via Miami, but
was a Patriot.
So I mean, it's so obvious what Patricia's doing there, and I think it must just be a comfort thing for him.
I'm not against it. He's clearly wants to work with guys that he knows, guys that he can trust to work in a way that he's going to expect of them. So, yeah. I'm not against going with what you know.
Yeah. And I've got this really horrible feeling he's going to do it for at least next season as well. And, I mean, it depends whether he hangs around, but we'll get into that when we talk about it.
It becomes an issue when it looks more like jobs for the boys rather than just using what he knows.
Is it production? Now, you can quite argue on both of these that they should be, certainly in Flowers' case, a serviceable upgrade to a position that you need help in. The Amendola one is, I'm not 100% sold on that.
Yeah, but he came alive in the playoffs 2 years ago, didn't he, for the Patriots?
Yeah.
So he's clearly got it within himself.
Yeah.
And Patricia obviously hopes that he can get that out of him on a regular basis.
Yes. And without sounding overly harsh, there was definitely a downgrade for him in terms of quarterback, going from Brady throwing you ball to Tannehill / whoever in Miami, because they've been such a disaster recently. And then now you're going up to Stafford. So you've got that big bounce back up to a really solid quarterback, actually better than solid. He is in, he's getting near.
Is he?
He's not in the top tier, right? Let's not go down there. He's ahead of Jameis Winston. No, let's just put that black and white, really easy.
He's a top 10-ish.
Yes,
top 10, 12. There or thereabouts.
He's certainly going to be that
solid quarterback. Yeah,
totally. Yeah. They also picked up Justin Coleman at cornerback to help out their secondary, having lost Glover Quinn. Theo Riddick was released, which wasn't really fussed. He wasn't outstanding for them in any way. But the move that I liked almost as much as anything else for them is picking up Jesse James, tight end from the Steelers.
Yeah, that is a very good move.
Because I think he's one of these really sneaky good players that doesn't get a lot of press, but can do some really solid production.
Yeah.
And it's an area that they need help. Eric Ebron was meant to be that person for the Lions when they drafted him 3-4 seasons ago now, and he just didn't happen. Don't know what it was.
Yeah, for some reason it just didn't work there.
It doesn't work. Look at the season then he had in Indianapolis last year, and you're like, oh my god, what are you doing?
Yes.
This is what you were meant to do for us. So they've kind of had a need at tight end for a long while, and I think Jesse James gives them that for certainly the next couple of seasons. So he'd be a really good safety blanket.
Yeah,
for, Stafford.
For me, the Lions will be the sneaky good team in this. I don't think there's a lot of expectation around the Lions this year, but
it probably helps them.
Yes, I think they will be better than a lot of people expect.
Yeah, and it's year 2 under Patricia. Any of the kind of cobwebs and whatnot from last season, he should have been able to shake out of the team now, and it's very much more in his shape, mould, whatever the word is that we're trying to talk about there.
Yeah.
Right, to Green Bay then. So we mentioned them earlier on, of course. The inverted commas in terms of name recognition, they are the darlings of the division.
Yeah.
And well, the Bears fans would argue that, but everyone else would be like, Green Bay for quite a lot of years, and particularly recently, have been there or thereabouts and pushing, and all down to one man, who we're not going to mention because Gav's not here today, so we don't need a fanboy too much. However,
big loss for them is Clay Matthews, I think, is the immediate name that stands out as a loss.
Yes,
he's obviously gone down to LA.
One. Yes, but LA are going to deploy him in more pass rushing linebacker role, what he started and what Green Bay drafted him for. The last couple of seasons, I think they've had that many.
So you mean he's going to get to the quarterback more? So where's the over and under for how many flags are getting thrown this year?
I forgot about that. Oh my god, he's going to get ruined. Oh, that's going to be hilarious. It's like first week in the docket. I don't know who it is. Let's assume it's the Seahawks, and he cleans out. He tries to clean out Russell Wilson, gets within 1 yard, and a flag's thrown at him just because he's likely to touch him. It'd be awful. That was awful last season. He just got knackered. First couple of weeks, he got flagged both weeks.
Yeah, I'm
for
sure he did.
Really ridiculous.
It was the whole landing on the quarterback type thing.
That's what it was.
And
he was getting done for. It wasn't anything else. I mean, it was what in my mind was a form tackle. In both cases, I didn't say it looked particularly dangerous, but it was the whole. They were just applying the rule to the absolute nth degree and going, "Oh no, your body weight landed on him, therefore you cannot, flagged."
Yeah.
So lost Clay Matthews, lost McDaniels as well from D-line, which I'd forgotten about until I went through the rosters again this morning, because he didn't get released until I want to say about near the end of June or something like that. It wasn't traditionally free season, free agency. God almighty, free season. Free agency, where we get the bulk of the roster moves. And had he gone then, he would have gone with someone else. I actually don't even know where he's gone. I don't even know who mentioned it already.
I have no idea.
Drawing a blank on that. In terms of upgrades, though, Green Bay's major issue the last couple of years has been defense, and I think that's been pretty well documented. They certainly have what it takes in the offense, because Rodgers just is that guy. He can pretty much do anything with anybody. Have you got Daniels there?
Yeah, went to the Lions.
Oh, cool. So we'll speak about next week. That's what I didn't know about.
We spoke about the Lions 2 minutes ago, man.
Oh, to the Lions? Oh, I'm thinking the Rams, so I'm getting confused. Oh, did he?
Yeah, he's gone to the Lions.
That's another one of those interdivisional moves. Oh, look at that. Yes. Actually, that really helps the Lions. That's a nice move as well. I like that, because I quite like Mike Daniels. He's not quite as under the radar as maybe like a Jesse James, but he definitely doesn't get anywhere near the level of credit that what his production is. So, that's good to know for when we start doing where teams are going to finish, I think.
Yeah.
Interesting. So, get back to Green Bay. So, the defense has been their sticking problem for the last few seasons. So, they kind of gone a bit all out, I think, this off-season on trying to fix that. Big signings of Darius Smith. What are we talking, 80-odd yards? Yards? Again, sorry, somebody tried to touch the door. I was all confused as I was about walking in the room. What am I talking about? I don't even know. 80-odd million or something. That's what I was going with that. I'm really sorry about that, right? It's some nonsense level contract anyway in the off season. It was a massive amount of money they threw at him. They picked up Adrian Amos, safety from the Bears, which actually that's a bigger loss to Chicago
than it is again to the Packers. You think?
Well, maybe that's not strictly true because he is awesome, but he was so instrumental in how defense played in Chicago last season.
Yeah.
That I think taking that piece out, if they've not got anything close to replicating that, that's going to be a big hole.
Yeah.
Whereas, if you think about the flip side, well, Green Bay had the hole anyway. They've just solved the problem.
Yeah.
So that's what I mean from that point of view. And then they picked up Preston Smith as well.
Yep.
Linebacker formerly of Redskins, I'm sure. But again, a couple of good pieces to help really solidify that defence in the hope that they can get back. Just that one for the old listeners that are my sort of age, Mercedes Lewis, got picked up from tight end, formerly of Jags, and is probably super banged up and will have busted knees within week 2. But hey, and that takes us to the last of the 4 teams, and that is the Vikings. Now, in terms of roster moves, I couldn't find anything on them. That absolutely bamboozled me as to what they had done this year. Now, I suppose they're very much a team where they look after their own people.
Yeah.
They're kind of your very more traditional draft and develop and don't go too mental in free agency. They very nearly lost Anthony Barr because he had actually, in principle, agreed to go to the Jets.
Yeah.
Then
backed out and a day later he'd signed for the Vikings again.
Yeah, the Vikings did. So whether he was using that to get the home team deal, I don't know. Whether he was going to go, it was quite interesting how that all played out. So yeah, they keep Anthony Barr, they re-upped Kyle Rudolph at tight end, and then obviously they've got the new boy, is it Irv Smith Jr. I think they picked up in the draft, who was, other than Tyler Hawkinson,
was Noah Fant.
Noah Fant, yeah, he was Irv Smith Jr. was the third tight end that everyone was kind of raving about in the off season as well. So they kind of look to be pretty good in terms of roster. I think the only person of note that I could see that they lost was Andrew Sendejo, and even then, half of you probably are like, who? So it's not a negative thing if you're kind of like, and who is that? So yeah, that's kind of the quick roster roundup of 4 teams. Anything that you can think of or add, or that I've probably missed out? Semi-comprehensive.
Semi-comprehensive roundup from you there. Yeah.
That's what you get from us, top grade researching.
Yeah, so that rounds up the roster movements in the NFC North, and that also rounds up quarter 1 of our 4-part weekly episode. So join us for the next one, and we will discuss where we think these teams are going to land.